The Legendary Enderman Pen. A rare drop with chances of 1 in 100,000 from 9,000 health Endermen is an item that provides a lot of value to a Skyblock player who regularly farms summoning eyes. This item greatly benefits any player who can get their hands on it, but its cost is what holds most people back. Because it's such an expensive item, many people don't think it's worth buying, but today I'm going to be putting that to the test. But before we get into the results, if you have any further questions or comments about this video, be sure to visit me over on my Twitch streams. I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The links are down in the description below. That's a great place to be if you want to talk to me or a bunch of other wonderful people, so I highly recommend you check it out. With that out of the way, let's get right into the video. Alright, so as you can see in today's video, we're going to be covering the Legendary Enderman Pen, and I've just got one right here next to me. It is currently level 64, as you can see. So the first thing I want to cover is just the basic stats of the thing. So to get things started, we'll just open up my pet menu, and as you can see, if I just list out all the buffs that the Enderman gives you, for starters, it does have some base crit damage that it does provide, and I believe it's the best pet in the game for just base crit damage in general, or at least it was one of the best ones, or one of the most cost-effective ones, because you can get the common one that has that, but that isn't really the point of today's video. So without further ado, I'll just read out these buffs for you guys. So we got Enderian, take 19.2% less damage from end monsters. This does vary depending on the level of your Enderman, and mine being level 64 means that it'll be 19.2%. Then we have Teleport Savvy, which buffs the aspect of the end ability, granting 32 weapon damage for 5 seconds once you've teleported. So this is actually really helpful, and I actually quite like this buff, because if you do run around and farm with an AOTE, or if you just want to like fight boss, maybe golems or something in the end, what you can do is, when say if the golem was right in front of you and you're gonna fight it, you can just dash at your feet and you get like a nice weapon buff, and you have that for 5 seconds, and if that runs out, you just dash your feet again, you get the buff one more time, you can keep on attacking, and it's a really nice mini buff that you sort of get that people sort of overlook and don't talk about too much, but I do quite like that one as well. Then the next perk is the Zealot Madness. Now this is obviously the one that everybody knows about, and it's the reason why I'm making this video entirely, but the Legendary Enderman itself will give you this perk, and it increases your odds to find a Special Zealot by 16%. Now this is the reason why this sort of debate just happened in general, and why people are always saying things like, oh, it's not worth it, oh, it is worth it, this and that and whatever, and I wanted to put that to the test today to see if we could get a lot more summoning eyes with the Legendary Enderman Pen, to really see if it was worth your money, if it was worth buying the thing, or if it's just a complete waste and you shouldn't be spending your coins at all on this pet whatsoever. So what I did for this video is I actually went out and farmed with my Legendary Enderman pet for 4 hours in total. So I farmed 2 hours without the pet, and then 2 hours with the pet, to see how many more eyes I would get either with or without, or if it was the same or if it was worse. We're going to cover that right behind me in these chests over here. But before I cover how many eyes I actually ended up getting and just the results of the entire thing, I want to quickly show you guys how I farmed all the eyes, because you may be curious as to how I did it, whether it was efficient or not. And also some side disclaimers you also need to know as well, is that because my pet is only level 64, it did actually start at about level 58, I believe, and it leveled up to 63, and then I used it a little bit after that to get it to level 64 at the end. So the chance did actually change when I was farming with this, so that may have affected things, it may have not affected them, but whatever the case may be, they should have stayed relatively similar the entire time regardless, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. But I did say that I was going to show you guys how I actually farmed in the end here, and you can probably tell already that I used a frozen scythe, and these are the enchantments for anyone that is curious at all. And I just ran this full very wise dragon set, and I basically just ran around and just shot them like this, you know, nothing too crazy, just like your standard frozen scythe mages, running around the end like this, just shooting away. When they spawn, you shoot them like that, shoot like that, shoot like that. I just got all the kills like that, so it's pretty simple, there's not really much else to it. I did end up just farming for about 2 hours on each time. So now that I've showed you guys how I farmed the Zealots, for the people that were curious of course, and also just getting those disclaimers out of the way, I'm going to go back to my island now to show you guys the results, to see how many eyes we ended up getting. So with all that information out of the way, how about we just go to the results straight away here. So from the 2 hours of Zealot farming without the Legendary Enderman pet, I ended up getting about 5 summoning eyes in total. So that's pretty decent rates. If I do remember correctly, I did end up getting about 2 eyes in the first hour, and then I got like 3 eyes in the second hour. Now that doesn't really matter in terms of the money that we earned from this, because obviously this video will be released at a certain day, and whatever the prices are right now will definitely change in the future. But 5 eyes in 2 hours isn't too bad. That is an average rate of 2.5 eyes per hour. So think of that however you will, and use that information however you'd like. But if you are curious to see how much these eyes will actually sell for at the time of me recording this video, if I hover over the sell inventory button, you can see that I get about 2.8 million coins if I were to just insta sell all the eyes right now. But I'm not going to do that because I want to hold on to these for some dragons later on, maybe on stream at some point. And with all that being said, now we can cover the loot from the 2 hours of farming with the Legendary Enderman Pen. And if I open this one up as well, you can see that we also ended up getting only 5 summoning eyes as well. So already you can kind of tell that it sort of seems like this pet might be a scam. And if I'm being honest with you guys, the times that I got the summoning eyes were very, very similar to the ones that I got without the pet as well. Like I ended up getting one sort of like 45 minutes into the whole thing, and then I got one like really close after that. Then I had to wait a while, but then I ended up getting another 2 sort of back to back within like 100 kills worth, and then my last one sort of towards the end. But overall there wasn't really much of a difference in terms of getting these eyes here, so getting 5 eyes as well with the Legendary Enderman pet is not very good to see, because it obviously shows that there is an increased chance. As you can see, it's a 16% chance, or it was about 15 point something when I was using the pet. But if 16% isn't enough to get you 1 extra eye, or it's not even going to really put you that much closer to getting any more money, I wouldn't really think this pet is too worth it. But we can't jump to conclusions just yet because I still have a few more points to cover for the rest of this video. So you guys saw the numbers there. We ended up getting the same amount of summoning eyes from both using the pet and not using the pet. So already you can kind of see that, well, at least at the level that my Enderman is, it doesn't seem that worth it to be using one or to buy one at all with your money. But if we were to say that you were going to buy a level 1 Legendary Enderman right now, just off the auction house, you can see that these things go for around 27 mil. This one here is a little bit lower at some weird ass number, and it's also tier boosted, so this one doesn't really count. But as you can see, if we look at one that isn't tier boosted, so this one has a combat XP boost, this one also has a combat XP boost, these are basically going for 28 mil. So if we just say that a normal Enderman pet, just level 1, nothing crazy, is 28 million coins, then if you were to spend this money right now, buy one, and then use that to farm eyes, at least according to the rates and the amount of eyes that I ended up getting in this video, it would take you just under 19 hours to earn all that money back, granted that you get 5 eyes every 2 hours or 2.5 eyes per hour. Now 19 hours is a pretty long amount of time. That is quite extensive, at least for me, someone who doesn't really play the game too much for leisure. 19 hours can be quite a lot to sink into, and even if I were able to spend about 2 hours a day just farming zealots, if that were the choice that I were to make, it would take me about 10 days to be able to earn all this money for a Legendary Enderman pet, only being level 1. And also you need to remember that this Legendary Enderman pet at level 1 literally gives you an increased chance of a Special Zealot by 0.2%. And obviously that is horrible odds because that doesn't really do anything at all. But once you level it up and you start getting it up to a higher level, you do get those increased chances just by a little bit. Although if I'm being honest, I don't think they make too big of a difference, as you saw by the 2-hour tests that I made in this video. However, 2 hours is not necessarily enough for something like this, because 16% of a boost isn't super noticeable with only 4 hours of total farming. But if you want me to do some further testing or some more extensive research on this topic, I can always stream that over on my Twitch stream, so make sure you tune into those if you're interested in any more stats. So we've concluded that being able to earn back all the money with a Legendary Enderman pet, granted that you buy one at level 1 and then you just use it and farm zealots however you would, it would take you about 19 hours, at least according to my calculations that I made. Well, let's just say you were going to buy one at level 100 and see how long it would take you to recover all that money with a level 100 Enderman pet. Now, obviously, my pet is not level 100, so the chances are definitely going to be a lot different, and they'll probably be a lot better with a level 100 because I think it's a 25% boost, so obviously that's much better than the 15 or 16% that I've got. But if you were to buy a level 100 Enderman pet with my odds and the pet that I was using, then it would take you approximately 31 hours to earn back all your money. Now that's even worse than the 19 hours that it would take you to get a level 1, and that's just if you were to farm zealots by hand alone. Honestly, I don't think it's worth it at all. I don't have that kind of time, and not everyone does either. You could probably sink in 31 hours of your life into this game on way better things, like maybe some Slayer, maybe leveling up some skills or more productive things, maybe earning money in different ways. But if for whatever reason that's what you choose to do, that is what it would take you roughly or on average to make the money back with summoning eyes. And that's also just taking into account that they're my odds. You could very well get worse odds or better odds, which could obviously change the outcome of this sort of experiment. But there's not really much that you could do here, because at the end of the day, it all really just comes down to chance and how lucky you get or how unlucky you get. And whenever there's RNG involved, there's never a consistent outcome nor a 100% guaranteed outcome, which is why I've always sort of frowned upon zealot farming or methods like this in general, because for me personally, I just don't think they're really worth it. So overall, what have we learned from this video today? Well, as you can tell from the data that I ended up collecting today and yesterday just from farming with this pet, you can obviously see that at the level that I use it at, or at least this sort of mid-range level tier that you can level up your pet to, you pretty much have the same odds as just not having a pet at all. In a situation like that, I would definitely recommend getting your hands on, say, a wolf pet, because if you're able to level up your combat XP boost, as you can see, that is the third perk of the wolf pet, you're going to be much better set up in the long run to just be leveling up your combat XP, rather than wasting it on what seems to be a more useless perk, being some increased odds that don't really increase your odds by much at all. But like I said, this test was somewhat flawed in many ways, as the times that I farmed were not really enough to get a full understanding of how good this pet is, and my pet also wasn't that high leveled either, so you can just take this with a grain of salt or however you want to. I'm just trying to provide you guys the best information that I can possible. But even with a 46 million coin pet, which is roughly the price of a level 100 Enderman, it would still take you over 30 hours to farm one by hand, just granted that you're only getting summoning eyes. And in my opinion, you're much better off spending all of that money on, say, better gear, get yourself some better talismans, maybe get yourself a better damaging pet, so you can probably cop something like a level 100 wither skeleton, because this thing is very cheap right now for the value that it provides you. You could also level up some skills, get your skill average up, and just put the money and time into way better items, because quite frankly, if you aren't going to drop a legendary enderman like I did, I actually got mine for free, which is why I've been able to use it, and I just sort of have it sitting in my pet menu. But for someone who's not farming for one and is planning to buy one off the auction house, unless you literally farm zealots 24/7, it's the only thing you do and you love farming summoning eyes, then don't buy this pet. But with all of that being said, hopefully you guys did find this video informative or enjoyable in some way. If you did find this useful, please do leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel, because I make these Hypixel Skyblock videos every Wednesdays and Fridays. And also, if you got any further questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos, be sure to pop over in my Twitch streams when I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The links to that are also in the description below. But with all that being said, guys, hopefully you all did enjoy this video, and as always, take care and peace. But right now, no website. Well, I'm on the. Wait a minute. You guys saw that. You guys 100% saw that. Why was there a giant sword there?